Right then, good afternoon folks. Sorry this has been a little bit delayed, but this is the reflections in water using wet in wet method. So this is the actual finished piece that that I did. It's on a PDF, people have had it on a PDF, so now we're going to do the video of it. So first of all, we're going to draw in a few foreground details and then we can crack on, and we're going to do the sky first. The sky colours are also reflected in the sea, or the lake, still lake as it is. We're going to do some distant trees, 2 mounds, and we're going to do some little rocks here. Okay, so let's get started with the drawing first. Okay, so you can use a ruler, and what we're going to do is just above halfway, so we're in the top third of the paper. Okay, I'm going to draw in an horizon line lightly with a pencil and a ruler. Okay, and then obviously this is the tree line. It'll come down there. I'm just putting a few little marks in. So then what we've got here, we've got a couple of earth mounds. So one's coming slightly above the horizon, and it's going to come down to here. That to come round there, and then we'll have another one coming down here, probably a little bit further out, and that's coming round to there. Okay, so I've got the 2 earth mounds there, and then across here I'm just going to mark in an area where we can put some rocks there. Okay, so then this is the lake here, and that's the sky. So I've got the drawing simple as, nothing fancy in there, and that's it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mask off, but using masking tape rather than masking fluid, the horizon. So I'm using some broad masking tape, roughly the size of the paper. What I'm going to do is I'm just actually putting it on my clothing just to take off some of the stickiness. Okay, and then like that. And what we do is we place it on the horizon, and we just sort of not press it hard, but press down, stick it at the top, and just leave this little bit as a flap to stop any paint coming down. Okay, so that will give us a good clear horizon line. So the first thing we've got to do is mix some colours up for the sky, which are also going to be reflected in the water later. So I'm going to mix plenty of them and keep them for the new piece. Okay, so the colours that we're going to mix for the sky are, we're going to use Naples yellow with a little bit of light red in there. That's for the lighter part of the sky, and then some cobalt blue. And then we're going to mix a little bit of cobalt blue with a little bit of the light red in to give us a slightly greyer colour. And they're the colours we're going to use for the sky and for the water. Okay, so it's Naples yellow with a little bit of light red in, and then cobalt blue on its own, and then some cobalt blue with a little bit of the light red. Okay, so I'm going to mix that using a flat brush. So first of all, the Naples yellow. This is watery. Okay, with a touch of light red. There we go. So we've got a nice light colour for the sky. You can make it a little bit darker if you want, orangier, by adding a little bit more light red. Okay, give the brush a good clean out. And then in this bit over here, in this well, I'm going to mix in quite a bit of the cobalt blue. Like that. Okay, so that's quite watery as well for the sky. Yeah, okay. And then the last colour is going to be cobalt blue. Okay, and then just a touch of the light red. And if you notice, we will get it's a warm grey, purpley grey. And it's just a little touch thicker than those 2 colours there, just so it doesn't spread as much. Right then, so once you've got that, get the brush cleaned. Okay, and now the paints. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to wet this sky area so we can drop some colours in for the sky. So to wet the sky, I'm going to use a sponge. You can use a brush, whichever's easier for yourselves. I like to use a sponge in this kind of area. So nice and wet, good clean sponge. Make sure it's very clean. Clean water. Okay. Put it along where the sky is going to be. And as you can see, if there's any dropping down, it's going to be caught by this tape there. Leave it a couple of seconds to soak in. Have a good look from an angle and see that you've got some sheen on there. When you've got the sheen and you can see the sheen, then you can see that it's wet enough to do the wetting wet. You don't want any big puddles and you don't want it looking too dry. So if you have a look, you should have a nice little sheen on it. And while you've got the sheen, that's when you can work on it. Okay, make sure you go back round the edges. Okay, so picking up a large brush, I've got an 18 here, Aquafine, but you can use a 16. All I'm going to do is give it a good wet. Take off some of the excess there. So I'm going to start with the lightest colour, which we normally do. And I'm picking up the Naples yellow and light red. Now I'm going to put the sky sort of coming down this way. So it's coming or going up that way, whichever way you want to look at it. So it's going away towards the left-hand corner. Okay, so down at the bottom here, I'm just going to, so I've picked up the colour. I'm going to use the brush on its side. Leave some gaps. Okay, like that. Then just give the brush a quick clean out. Take off the excess and then go along and pick up the blue, a good mix. Pick up some of the blue, put some of the blue across the top of the sky. Nice bright blue there. And then I'm just going to, again, working the brush on its side. I'm going to fetch it into the lighter colour and create some sort of cloud effects there. And as you can see, when the Naples yellow and red mix with the blue, you get a sort of a grey colour. If you use the yellow in the sky, be careful, because if you use yellow and once the blue hits it, you will tend to get greens, which is obviously not what we want. Right then, so I want to clean that out. Take the excess off. Now I'm going to go into the grey. And my brushes are slightly drier and I've got the greyer colour on here. Take some excess off. So I'm going to do some nice little bits of cloud. So as before I've mentioned, your clouds are thicker and fluffier at the top, and as you come down they get a little bit thinner and a bit wirier. So we can put quite a bit of cloud in this top corner using the side of the brush, twisting it as I'm coming down to give that effect. Okay, and then we can have quite a bit up here if we wanted as well. Okay, and joining up. So as they come further down, these clouds will get a little bit. So now I'm going to go a bit on the pointier side of use the point of the brush. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually swap. I'm going to change to a smaller brush. So I'm going to move down to a size 10. Okay, pick some of this grey up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create some of the smaller wispier clouds at the bottom. Okay, and just mix a little bit more of that up a bit. There we go. So pull some of this down using the tip of the brush, but still twisting it a little bit. Some of these wispier clouds out of the way. It's gone a little bit, and there we go. Make that into a bigger bit cloud up there. You probably noticed I've got my board on a slight angle. Okay, so what I might do there as well is pick up some more of this light colour that I started with and just put in a couple of streaks, so it just gives it a bit of tonal touch there. Okay. Now if you wanted to, you could actually take some colour out of this as well to create some other effects in the sky. So what I've done is I've cleaned the brush, so it's clean. It's just damp, but it makes it into what we call a thirsty brush. So in other words, it's looking to soak up paint or water or liquid of some form. So if you put it on there and just twist it, clean it, again, dry it out, twist it on its side. And what it's doing is, because the brush is quite dry and thirsty, what it's doing is it's taking up some of the paint. Okay, so you can either soften some hard edges in that you feel you don't require, or if you just want to put a little bit more light into the sky, use the brush and let it fetch in some of that lighter colour, so you've got another tonal section there in the sky. Okay. Keep cleaning it and keep drying it off, so that, because once you do this you're pulling paint off, you don't want to put it back in. Okay, and I think that looks quite okay, so I'll leave it at that and let it dry. So now we've got to let the sky dry totally. Just before we do that, sorry, I have missed something. Using the grey, we're going to put some distant trees in. Let's have a look. So I'm going to use a smallish brush again. So this time I'm going to use the number 4. Okay, and I'm going to use the grey mixture that we've used for the clouds. Okay, so I'm going to start at this side, and I'm just going to tap in and twist. So I'm going quite high up at this edge, and then as I'm coming down, make it quite uneven and random, because it's supposed to be trees at a distance. Okay, and then just twisty shapes. And what you will see, because the paper is still damp, at the top you should see it start to soften off into the sky, and it will sort of dry with a more feathered edge on there. Okay, so fetch that down, go as high as you want on there. Now the effect this will give, it will add to the linear perspective, as we call it. The sky, because we've done that at a slight angle and going that way, and because the clouds are thicker there and thinner as they come further down to the horizon, it gives you the linear perspective that the sky is going away. And the same with the trees. If we put these trees in at the distance, we start with them sort of higher up at this edge and coming lower down. Everything is leading to this side of the paper, which is where we're going to be putting in the earth mounds and the reflections. So it's making it's sort of leading the viewer into where you want them to look, which is at the reflections here on these earth mounds that we're going to be doing. Okay, so we've got to let that now dry. So just go away, clean your brushes, make sure they're all dry and ready for the next process, and have a cup of tea. You could dry it with a hairdryer if you want, and then come back once it's dried and we'll move on to the next stage. Okay, thank you. See you in a bit.